Welcome everyone to the discussion of loving and centering ourselves while raising our kids. This is a show for fathers. This is a show for Black fathers. This is a show for stepfathers, mentors, anyone in the realm of taking care of others before they take care of themselves. So I want to welcome you and thank you for joining us and taking the time to listen to our esteemed panelists as they talk about their experiences, talk about their thoughts, talk about their way and how they figured out how to do things within their families and their communities. The first person I'd like to introduce would be Brother Nance. He's an educator, a community advocate, certified mental health advocate, and founder of the Temple Work Ministry and Coaching. For more than 2 decades, his work has centered on strengthening families, mentoring young people, building community, and creating spaces where Black men can speak openly about healing, identify, fatherhood, and purpose. Brother Nance believes that caring for others begins with doing the inner work ourselves. Through his work in education, mental wellness, and community engagement, he encourages people to find peace within, access their power, and show up more fully for themselves and the people they love. Thank you, Brother Nance, for being here.
Oh man, I'm glad to be here. Peace and power to the brothers.
Our
Peace.
next panelist. Our next panelist is Sharif Green. He is a licensed master social worker. Sharif believes in multiple therapeutic approaches, understanding each person as an individual. He has a particular interest in working with children and fathers. He received his bachelor's degree from Delaware State University and master's degree from Springfield College. He has been an active member of the human service field for approximately 25 years, with experience with drug and alcohol users, at risk youth, individuals with mental health diagnosis, the terminally ill, misrepresented fathers, family therapy, and your average K through 12 student. Aside from all the experience and education, Sharif is just a genuine lover and believer in humanity. Thank you, Brother Green, for being here.
Thanks for having me. I can't see myself on videos. Am I seen by everybody else?
Oh yeah, we're coming in slowly but surely.
Okay.
Desmond Guy, our next panelist, is a father, husband, and author. Desmond likes to fashion himself a walking almanac of personal development, self help for the better part of 30 years. He's a ferocious reader and a student of life and something of a self proclaimed social scientist. First in the arts of active listening and emotional intelligence, Desmond loves to connect with people, a man of many words and catch phrases. His credo, you don't find yourself, you define yourself. Desmond, thank you for being here, brother.
Thank you, brother. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. Our next panelist, OG Troy Nalls, is a media production specialist, digital content creator, and an artist manager who operates across Dallas, Texas, and Los Angeles, California. Widely known online in the music community by his moniker OG, he is highly regarded for his work in immersive audiovisual environments, independent media curation, and his deep roots in the commercial music industry. Troy is the husband of Dr. Tamara Nails and father of three. OG, thank you for being here, brother. We
Hey, thanks for
appreciate you.
having me. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
And last but not least, Brother Corlan Budd is a father of four. He brings firsthand experience to the conversation on fatherhood and men's mental health. He is the admin of the Black Fathers Group on Facebook, where he connects with and uplifts other dads. Along with his passion for family, he's dedicated to health, wellness, fitness, and executive coaching, helping others lead with purpose and resilience. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being here. We appreciate your time and welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Now, I'm going to start this off. I'm your host, Mr. Barry Jenkins. And listen, I love doing this anytime our curator responds and says, hey, I want to do something for the fathers, I'm like, I am on board and I'm ready to go. But one of the first things I want to make sure I ask of each and every one of you, and I want to know that honest answer is, what defines you as a father? And I'm going to start it off with Sharif.
Evening, my brothers. What defines me as a father? Hmm. Uh, Um, I hate to give like that status quo answer, but it's really along those lines of just being present. And when I do say present, I don't mean just in the physical. I mean like present for my kids emotionally, present for them mentally, present for them spiritually, um, and just showing that I can be relied on in like any of those different areas at any given time that they may be struggling or just need general anything with any of those areas. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Desmond, over to you.
I think presence. I'd say presence defines me as a father. Presence and sound. I often hear people say, "Don't call me. I'm like your. Don't call me like you, my father." So I'd say presence and sound.
Excellent. I love it. I love it. Brother Nance.
Um, I would say honestly, I'm still defining it. You know what I mean? But it's different when dealing with adult children. So adult young people. So I would say authenticity, consistency, um, and I guess standing on moral values and principles that you're trying to pass on to the next wave. So just I guess always evolving and understanding and making sure that as I'm evolving that I can see the person that's in front of me as they're evolving. So I would say evolution is a part that defines my fatherhood.
Love that answer. Love that answer. Corlan, over to you, brother.
Yeah, so listen, I love that answer too, and I hate to sound like I'm copying, but the
Nah,
brother gave
love,
a great
brother.
he gave a great answer. So to add on that, and just to kind of co-sign what he was saying, continuous improvement is what I would say defines me as a father. It's the growth, it's the evolution through it, and it's also your children and their experience, how they experience you, right? So ultimately, they will be the ones to decide whether I did a good job or not. Right. Being a father is much like, at least in my opinion, like being the president of the United States. Right. You never really have experience until you're never really qualified for that job until you actually have it and have done it before. So what defines me as a father is, how I can show up as best I can, continue to grow and improve as a father, and provide my children with the best experience they can get.
Excellent. Thank you, brother. OG, holla at us.
Man, that's a great question. And I was thinking about it, and I'm glad you called on Sharif first. Sorry about that, Sharif. But
I'm
for me,
cool.
man, it's I'm in a reflective season because my children are 10 years out of the house. But if you would have asked me that 20 years ago, or 30 years ago, I would have said commitment. The moment I found out I was about to be a unprepared teenage father, um, I dedicated the rest of my life, it committed the rest of my life to developing these nice new humans. So it's really about commitment development. And now I'm in that measurement. I get to see the benefit of decisions that were made, even that were judged to be wrong in the season, that have turned out to be 100% correct. And so for that, I'm proud.
Excellent. Excellent. Listen, okay, OG, you don't know this, but you actually, that's like the perfect transition because the next question I want to ask you guys is, when did you become self-aware? When it be, when fatherhood kicked in? What was that defining moment? I know for me, it was I, I'm a bonus dad and I'm a late dad too. Like I remember when my wife was pregnant with my daughter, it was I gotta get it together no matter what. So I'm asking you guys, when was that defining moment of self-awareness where you realized, okay, this is real. I gotta there's no going back, and they're gonna be here, and I gotta perform. And Corlan, I'm gonna pick on you first this time, brother. Like you was ready.
Yeah, that's a great question too. I think honestly, my wake up call was when I was pregnant with my first child, my daughter, and um, I had always there's a ton of kids in my family. I'd always been around kids, even my cousins kind of saw me as the uncle. So always had that kind of like itch or desire to be in that fatherhood role, and had a little bit of experience at the nephew big cousin level, right, kind of mentoring. But it became real when we were pregnant with my daughter, and I stayed up a couple nights like, all right, man, like how is this gonna be? I'm gonna have to get it together, right? I wasn't necessarily bad off, right? I think I was probably in a space where most people were like, okay, well, you already got it together, but mentally I had to I had to figure it out. I had to figure out how I was going to show up. I had to figure out, what kind of dad I was going to be, because honestly, fatherhood, in my opinion, starts at conception. So that was a wake up call for me.
Thank you. Thank you. Excellent answer. Brother Nance, I saw you shaking your head, man. I was like, you pulled me in. What you
Yeah.
thinking?
What was the question again?
When did you become self-aware of your fatherhood and what you had to do or
Oh
what was
man,
expected of you?
just veggie backing off my brother. I mean, off the top, you know what I mean? Like I already knew I had to make some pivots, make some adjustments. He he was planned but wasn't planned. You know what I mean? And so, only have one, so I have a son. You know what I mean? And so, immediately it was, I already knew what time it was because I had a good upbringing. So I just knew I wanted to show up, a certain type of energy. And yeah, just I mean it's hard to explain. It just like soon as I found out, it ain't nothing to discuss. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't nothing to even, you know what I mean? Like whether we was gonna be together or apart, like we related. You know what I'm saying? So like once I knew I was having a baby with somebody, we was related. So I was just figuring out how we gonna be in relation for all these years. One with him and with the mother. You know what I mean? So I hope that answered the question, my brother.
No, no, that's great, man. Thank you very much. Desmond, over to you.
I guess I'd say from the inception of it. I mean, my son was unplanned. So after I realized that the route we were going was going to have the baby. I've been conscious since then. So that's like been like since like 20. I'm almost 50 now, so I've been conscious like 30 years about it. So
My man, appreciate it. And Sharif, I get to round it up with you this time. You get to hear all the answers. Hopefully nobody stole something from you.
Uh, nah, and I'm kind of surprised that I'm the only one that got this answer. But like situations is different, you know what I mean? Like that's me and my mom. Like I was raised without my pop, so I can remember early as like 6, 7, 8, and I can remember it being jealousy first to seeing my cousin's dad pick them up and my friends' dads coming to their events and stuff like that. And I was like, I'm never gonna be that type. Like, I'm gonna be this type of pop. I'm gonna be invested like this. Like, I knew the type of father I was going to be before I even thought about having kids. Like, you know what I mean? Like I knew that at a very young age. I came into like the consciousness of the type of father. I knew it. I knew that. I knew I was going to be there early. Mhm.
Love that. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. And OG Troy, I don't want you to think forgot about you because you kind of transitioned into this. But since you are at the point where you have folks out of the house and you've had a chance to reflect on past thought processes and see the future and the present in front of you, knowing what you know now with your self-awareness, would you do anything any differently? Or do you see where you should have pivoted? Or, you know, how's that self-awareness working now? And they're gone and they're grown and you're seeing the fruits of your labor.
Oh, I absolutely would have did something different. I would have did things in order. I'm very proud to say that I'm not a grandfather because I'm not a father-in-law, right? That's the order. But
Mm-hmm.
when I became self-aware, and I shared this with my daughter, I used to share with my daughter when she was a teenager because I was a man who she thought was like superhero. But I told her, hey, when your mom told me she was pregnant, I said it wasn't mine, and I left Texas and flew back to California. I got as far away from the situation as I could. And I shared that with her to let her know that, you think that I'm this great man, but I grew into this man. But when it was real, was not when she was pregnant. It was when I carried Lishay out of the hospital. We're in Austin, Texas, and we drove to a mall in Round Rock, Texas, and they left the baby in the car with me. I'm like, yo. And I took a picture of her, and I carry that picture with me to this day. I still have that first picture I took with her. Back then, it cost money to develop film. I had $30. It took $15 to develop that roll of film. And I, hung out with my daughter for a day or two and flew back to California because that's where I lived. And it was from that point on, every decision I made to this day was to be the best possible father. And to me, in that vein, to be a good father, I had to be a good man. And what a good man was in 88, 89, 90 was to be a good husband as well. And so that moment of failure, embarrassment, because I grew up with my father and his father grew up with his father. I just knew that I had to do something right then. I was never thinking about going to the military, but I did that because I didn't want to sell dope in the 80s in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm. It's real. That's real. That's the 80s was where it was at. That was like the epidemic time period. And I love that realness and that openness that you're sharing with us because everybody's not always ready. You literally got on the plane. That's like,
it was horrible.
But you walked your daughter out of the hospital.
Yes.
I love that. I love that. And okay, so Troy, man, you really set me up, man. I just want you to know this is
Hey,
beautiful.
just let them know we the same dude, and we've been working on this forever. Tell them we was practicing last week.
Right. Because now, knowing what we know now, and this is the question I want to have because this transitions into something else I know we're going to have to speak about: the weight fatherhood. That I always joke and say, I got some strong shoulders. I can carry it all. I got this. We some of us grew up seeing people carry that weight. Some of us looked and say, you know what? I'll always be able to carry that weight because I don't want my child to have to worry about not having someone to take care of them. And I'm going to go through each one of you. What does that weight feel like to you? And this time I'm just going to open it up and see who wants to jump in first. So I won't call anybody out. But what does that weight of fatherhood feel
I'll go first.
Okay.
I have to really be careful when I talk about things like this, is because I don't remember any of the bad times, And so even when I'm talking with my son or my daughter and they're looking back on the situation and you look back and man, you just reminiscing. Sometimes you got to remember the bad times. You got to remember the bad times. And I remember not having access to my daughter. She was weaponized against me. I didn't get custody of her until she was 13. I didn't get it through the courts. And so I had to take a long-term view because when I talk to young fathers, it's like, you lost your leverage. When you gave your seat away, you lost your leverage. And now the state and the young lady, you're a criminal now. Like I never been to jail, but I got paperwork that says the state of Texas versus Troy Nalls.
Mm-hmm.
So but I knew that 18 would come, and it's hard. We trying to go month to month. We trying to get to the end of the year. We trying to get to the end of the season. How many of us are saying, "Look, I'm gonna take the 10-year route," and I knew that I would, if I did everything I was supposed to do, that I would eventually prevail. And so, what I tell young fathers, the pain for me was, it was the times that I didn't get to impart or share in the day to day of my daughter, and that was with my first child.
Thank you, OG, for sharing.
Hey, I don't mind jumping in next, man. I'll tell you what it feels like for those of us that have ever hit the gym. Um, I can tell you, it feels like trying to do a barbell squat with like 550 pounds on the bar, and you got chicken legs. That's that's the weight,
Talk
right?
about that shaking, right? That
Right.
shaking,
And
like
that's what it feels like. You listen, it feels like it can take you down and you ain't never gonna be able to push back up, right? Sometimes it could, the weight can feel very, very much like an insurmountable situation. Um, especially, if you got to go through, like Troy was saying, the courts in order to be, a present dad, or, especially if it's unnecessary, right? And these
Mhm.
things could have been, avoided. So it can absolutely feel like, the weight of the world is on that bar, right? If you, bend down and hit that squat to any depth, you ain't getting back up, right? Which is why I think, events like this, communities like Black Fathers and just fellowship among us is important.
thank you, Corlan. I love that, man. And I love that weight analogy because I remember the first time, you just putting them two plates on that bench, that 135, you thinking, oh, I got this. And you get to, you bring that thing down to your chest and you ain't been in it in a minute. You, you hoping somebody watching you as you push that thing back up, but you get it up.
Oh
And then
yeah,
it,
and just to add a little context to that, right? So, it's a very low percentage of men that can bench 135, right? Because there's a lot, most Americans don't even hit the gym, right? But the percentage of men that can squat 550 pounds is a whole lot lower. Like you're in the top 1% of the top 1% elite. So, and I feel the same way about the fathers that show up and raise their kids, right? The way, in accordance with their values and all that, they are, the top 1% of elite. Now, I do know that the stats say that it's a lot of us there, right? And most of us are there, but I still feel like we deserve. I still feel like we're elite, bro. So,
what about 225? Is that what's that percentage like? 225 on the bench?
yeah, you getting in like top 3% of strength.
All right, okay.
So,
Take that. I'll take that. Who else wants to jump in?
So the original question was the weight of it.
The weight of fatherhood. What does that feel like to you? What does it mean to you? What is like I love that analogy of the gym because that is so realistic of especially when you're starting out because you're not as strong as you that first day in the gym. It's not the same as when you are a month, 2 months later after consistency. And that's
Well,
just to use some of the words we were using earlier.
I would say the weight of fatherhood really puts the mirror in front of yourself, on what you need to be doing higher, for yourself in order to even show up. You got to show up for yourself first before you can show up as a father. So the weight of fatherhood made me had to mature. And I had my son later on. I didn't have him in my 20s. I made like late 20s, almost 30. So I was a little bit in motion, but I was doing other things. So as soon as I found out, I went back to school and got my degree and did what I needed to do. But, you know, had I not, had I want to keep chasing things that I was chasing or doing things that I was doing, I just think the weight of fatherhood allowed me to focus a little bit more on self in order for me to be an active and productive father in my son's life. So I think just the weight of it allowed me to put the mirror in front of myself. I was already focused, but it took my focus to another level. Like it just, and it never stopped. Like every decision I made, I knew it affected somebody else outside of me. So I think the weight of just that alone, on top of, I lost my dad when I was 10. So, you know, just having the pressure of just being a good dad, because I had a good dad, you know what I mean, but not really remembering everything about it, but just remembering the energy of it, you know what I mean. I just knew that I had to continue to show up for myself so I can show up for him. So the weight of just showing up for myself was directly related to becoming a father.
I love that.
I'll go ahead and jump in. Yeah, I got two daughters, and I just see them as an extension of me. So it's like, as much pressure as that I have for myself, extends to them as well. Like, I want to do good at work. I want them to do good at school, and I'm gonna do everything I can help them in my power to do good at school, and so on and so forth, and so on and so forth. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's tremendous, but like it's worth it, and yeah, it's worth it. So it's like a battle that you happy to show up for.
Sharif.
I
Desmond.
want to jump in. I want to say I love the analogy that brother Corlan gave about lifting for the first time, because I can definitely 100% relate to that. I will add on that though that I feel like for me it was that, but I had other fathers around me, so I felt like I had spotters. You know what I mean? I felt like I had a village of brothers who had worked out before, you know what I mean, who had been lifting for a while. I had brothers who was coming to the gym with me for the first time, who was also, you know what I mean? So I felt like I definitely felt like I had spotters with me. So I didn't feel, I'm grateful that I never felt alone in any of my struggles, any of my trials that I went through.
Community. You had that
Yeah,
community.
definitely,
Mm.
for
I
sure,
can
for
relate to
sure.
that. I can relate to that.
Yeah, yeah,
I love that, man. And you know what? When you're not by yourself, it's just a little bit lighter. How many
yeah.
times somebody just touch that bar and you're like, oh, I
Yeah.
got it, I got it.
Yep. Yep.
Just,
Or
man,
somebody or you struggling with that last, that last rep, and somebody standing there like, come on, let's go. You got it. You got it. You got it. You
you
know what I
got
mean?
it.
It was definitely like, it's always been like that for me for sure.
Yeah, and I can definitely relate to that because like me, all men, all my homeboys had our kids around the same time, like month at the month. So it was like a crew of us just raising our kids, carrying diaper bags, and we were just in the mix. You know what I mean? So yeah,
Yeah.
I could definitely relate to that, and it was definitely cool. You know what I mean? It made parenting and made fatherhood cool back in the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was real cool with carrying my diaper bag, man.
For
Listen, I
sure.
found me a slick joint too, you know?
Oh yeah.
My grandmother used to be
Yeah.
like, "You pack the bag better than a woman." I said, "I want to make sure yo got everything he needs. You know what I mean?
Hair.
Be prepared." You know
Hair.
what I'm saying? Straight up.
That's
Yeah.
something I really appreciate about fatherhood for your generation. And I appreciate, one of the reasons reached out to Matt is because when I became a father, I was born in the 60s, and fathers were hands off. Like, I never seen my father go to the grocery store, change a diaper. He wasn't a hugging type. My dad was born in the 40s, survived Jim Crow, almost got lynched. So he came from that stoic, hard. And so when I became the father I wanted to be, I didn't have the community. Everybody was telling me I was going to turn my kids into sissy or make them soft and this, that, and the other. So seeing fatherhood become in vogue and watching people in their 40s and early 50s, take the mantle and then build a group of 100,000 fathers, to me is just, it's incredible. It's my wildest dream to see that people are taking fatherhood serious, because I felt like I was on an island, bro.
Yeah, just to double click on what the good brother Easy was saying about the spotter piece. I definitely want to take a moment to give a shout out to some of the people that were my spotters, um, and they kind of came into my realm at the right time. So shout out to OG Troy Nalls for for spotting me quite a bit when I was having my third and fourth kid. He definitely dropped some gems on me and gave me some wisdom. Shout out to the good brother Matt for setting some examples and welcoming me into his community of fatherhood. So it's so necessary. That's the way we grow, by hitting that last rep, right? Working that fatherhood muscle to fatigue.
Community is fierce, isn't it? Desmond, I don't want to leave you out, brother. I see you over there, man.
No, it's quite all right. I feel like uh it feels like it's like being like Spider-Man. With great responsibility comes great power, right? And I feel like it's a thankless job, to be honest with you. Um, so in being like Spider-Man, you don't really realize you have a community until you're down. But then you have all these other voices telling you like how you should be a hero. That's my experience.
Yo, let me tell you something, man. You know how many times, and it's okay if I'm the only one that I'm sitting on the edge of my bed thinking, how am I going to complete this? How am I going to do this? How, or I'm sorry, can I? And that community is not always there. Sometimes it's just you by yourself. Go ahead,
Pablo,
Desmond. I see you.
do I even want to?
Do I feel like doing this?
Right.
Do
Like
I?
that's the real question we need. Do I want to? Like I think a lot of times we just so obligated, we never even ask ourselves that
You
question.
don't get your water bottle?
Not sure who that was, but go ahead.
I just like I think a lot of times as men, we fake it and we don't really think about what we want to do, right? Like we definitely do fatherhood because we're obligated. And we a lot of times we tell ourselves it's an honor, which I'm not saying it isn't, but I don't think we ever really ask ourselves, do I want to do it? All you hear is, well, you should have thought about that before you got her pregnant, right? So I'm saying that to say I'm not saying fatherhood is a bad thing. That's not what I'm saying. No, what I'm saying is, do we ever really ask ourselves if we want to do it, or we just don't even think about that?
Listen, before Troy, I see you. I see you. Hold on, man. Hold that thought. Saw you because I'm gonna tell you something, man. Like, and I love these spaces where you can be transparent, you can be honest, and you can have a moment of vulnerability because what we're talking about here is reality. Do I feel like doing this? Like there are times that we're not taking care of ourselves, but we're taking care of everybody else. And we are grinding bone on bone, literally sometimes. And it's a thankless job. I used to describe, or I still describe it, is fatherhood is the job I love because it is a job. It is something that I can't stop. I cannot have people that rely on me, people that need me, and people that look up to me. And no matter what, I gotta stand up. I gotta stand up. So Troy, I want to go to you first, and then after that, be divine. I'm gonna ask you to kick in real quick, okay?
Hey, sorry, you say you were going to Troy first or me first?
Yeah, Troy first. Troy first.
Oh. The I never wanted the appreciation of my children for what I do as a father. I wanted it be their norm, you know. The hard part was more mental than anything. It was just when the economy was bad or my money was short, um, how was I going to make this thing happen? And so it was a silent battle that you don't have a lot of people to talk to, or have the relationships in place to be like, hey man, I'm messed up right now, right? That's one of the things that I appreciate about not so much the group, but the relationships in the fatherhood group, the Black fatherhood group. I made relationships that I took offline, including going into a particular city and visiting that father just to create this these synergies because sometimes you just need someone to talk to because no one cares, right? And so looking back on it, it feels great. Just like if we go back to the gym analogy, it's like when you do 2 days, in the summer, but you just won the Super Bowl, you know how necessary those 2 days were, or they don't hurt as much as the victory. And so a lot of times when you ask me about these kind of questions, I have to really dig back into a file cabinet that I is permanently closed. But I don't want to minimize how heavy the lift is, right? Because I look at Corlan and he go to the gym. Like if I went back, I spent 20, 30 years in the gym and I ain't been to the gym in 6 months. If I go to the gym with him, I'm not climbing that rope without my legs like he be doing. You know what I'm saying? So a lot, a lot of times when you fall off, and let's be real, man. There's been times where my money got extremely funny, man. And for some reason, man, fatherhood don't feel this cool when you can't pay your bills. You know what I'm saying? And you would hope the hugs and holding hands and skipping through the park would cover for that, and it does in the mind of the child. But in the real deal is a man, especially a man from my generation, even your generation, we feel less than when we can't provide. And so a
Absolutely.
lot of it
Absolutely.
is that. And that's the least important part, not the least important part. Provision is important. The love is more important. But in season when you're in it, it feels like failure. And so, I'm that's where I'm at with that.
Be divine. I don't want you to think I forgot about you, man. Still with us?
Yes, my check. Can you hear me?
Yep, we got you. We got you.
All right, my apologies. I'm actually multitasking, driving Lyft and tapping in. But peace to all the brothers here.
Peace.
Um, on there we go. Is the camera back? Okay, cool. I can see y'all now. Um, but yeah. I think I'm not sure what the initial question was, but I heard something to the degree of nature of, I guess, the experience of like how fatherhood is kind of placed upon us, and I do like, do we choose it or something in that nature?
The
Um,
weight of fatherhood, the weight of fatherhood, what we carry.
the what we carry. Okay. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. Um, Fatherhood is different for me slightly because when I was a kid, like I knew I wanted to be married and I wanted to be a father since I was 8 years old. So I'm halfway there. Like legitimately, like people would be like, oh, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a basketball player, or whatever. I said, no, I want to be a dad. That's just what it was for me. Um, so I've lived life from that angle and that perspective. The caveat to it all, uh, you do feel the weight. Um, things do get tight. When there's no more EBT, and you just can't continue to feed them French fries and juices, or like how like I got one son with me, my youngest, and I'm fighting for full custody with my oldest, and he's in New York. The expenses of going back and forth, like, or even just like how every time I go to get him and everything like that, just the cost of the travel, the cost of everything, like depletes the savings every single time. And it's like I still want to do for you and things of that nature. When you're here, I want to spend more time with you. But if I don't get out here and do what I'm doing now, the lights don't stay on. It's and then you get to leave and go back to your mom. Like I got a whole nother child to care about as well. That's my responsibility as well. So it's, I feel it. Community is key with it. I'm based here in Atlanta. Um, there's organizations like the Black Man Lab and Dougal Brotherhood, Black Male Initiative, also known as Be Your Mind, that I connect with. And even what I do, Fatherhood is Good on You. I'm about to have my fourth annual Fatherhood is Good on You. But still, with all of that, sometimes, I just wish I had a brother I could call more consistently and just be like, hey, this is what I'm going through. This every master is still a student. You should be a mentor and a mentee. And it's like, it's just times like that when I'm going through, and I'm appreciative for the few brothers that I do have, but I gotta admit, I wish I wish I had more brothers to lean on like that in that way. Especially when I hold space for brothers. And I get it, everybody is different, different. Hi, Veronica. Yes. Can we use the truck, please? Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So everybody is different in that regard. They have their different influences, their different upbringings, like how we was talking earlier about the stoicism of the generations prior before. And all of those things are challenges. But hopefully that kind of answer, because it's more I want to add to it, but I'll tap back in and give that after this ride.
We got you, brother. We got you. Hey, thanks for doing what you're
Yeah,
doing,
that
man. We
my jeweler
appreciate you.
Jim. That my jeweler Jim Strong
Hey
dripping.
yo, hey yo, Nance. When I saw you was on the event, I was like, oh man, I gotta tap in,
Yo, when
man.
I
I ain't
saw
seen
you
this brother
talking,
in a
I said, yo,
minute.
that's my jeweler right there. That's my man. That's what's up, brother. Nice seeing you, Baba. Yes, sir.
No, likewise, King. Likewise.
Hey, man, I love to see this. I love to see this community. And listen, I've been there. There are times, and somebody, I can't remember who it was who said it, but they was like, your money ain't right. You feel a little bit less as a father. Because I remember being that cat that was like, I would see and hear the ice cream truck before my kids. And if my money wasn't right, I was like, let's go on around here real quick, you know. Just let me make a move here because I don't want to I don't want to have to tell you you can't get the ice cream because I'm like, it's either that or dinner tonight, you know. I mean, like, okay, now I gotta make a decision. So thank you, brothers, for everything that you're doing. It is, I'm thanking everybody on this call because I know what you're going through. And it's an amazing feeling. It's the light at the end of the tunnel. But then again, I got to switch up a little because we're feeling the weight. But now I need to know from each and every one of you, what do you do to take care of yourselves? What's your self-care? Like, what do you do to recharge? And I know for me, I'm gonna go first just because I can. I'm facilitating. I'm gonna set the tone, you know. But one thing that women have been getting right for the longest time is self-care. And let me tell you, man, look, Sharif, I saw you. I get my nails done now, man. I get these toes done. My wife took me for the first time probably about 4 or 5 years ago, and I was like, oh, this is what you okay. I did not know that pampering, I'm making up a word, pamperism now. I'm just like, it's like that. It's like this, we don't get that. We didn't come up like that. We didn't, it was, you know what, we saw how the bros chilled out. We had a 40, or somebody had a shot of a scotch. You know, I watched my father drink scotch Thursday evening, getting ready for the weekend. I ain't never see that Joker go getting his nails done and nothing like that. Man, what? Feet crusty as I don't know what. But you know, it's just so that's what I know now. I take time for myself. I dig in and I decompress. I have my music on, and that's just one of the things I know I do to take care of myself. Let me hear from you guys. What's your self care like? How do you take care of yourselves? How do you recharge?
Yeah,
Brother Barry, sorry.
yeah, no worries. Sorry, I'll jump in and go first, man. I love that analogy. One thing that women do is talk about self care, but I do think it's important to note a couple of things, right? This is not to rag on women at all, right? But for as much as they talk about self care, right, they still crash out and they still and they still on anxiety meds at a high rate. That's not a knock on them. I'm only saying that to show, right, that it's important to pick the self-care that works for you and that's going to be effective for you, right? And so I'll start with that, and I'll say that what self-care, would work for me was like the number one lesson I learned in fatherhood. I mean, of course, the five S's, how to swaddle, how to change diapers, the swooshing and swinging, all that other stuff, but it had gotten to a point where I was losing myself and had to figure out how I was going to care for me as well. And for me, The biggest factor is hitting the gym. The other factor was doubling down on my faith. So the two G's, God and the gym helped me quite a bit. And those were probably the most important ways I would take care of myself. And I had to carve out the time in order to make it happen. I had to get on a routine. I had to put the kids on a routine so that I had the space to do those self-care activities, man. But you gotta figure out what is going to be effective for you and make it work and make sure you prioritize it. You cannot be the best dad for your children if you're barely functioning for yourself, right? So so there's a couple of things there. I think there's another topic we'll come back to after everyone kind of gets a chance to speak their speak. But I just want to drop this gem and we can get back to it later. It's more important to manage your energy than it is to manage your time, and I can go on for that one for a little bit, but it doesn't do you any good if you schedule right things on your calendar if you don't have the energy to execute on those things that you have scheduled, right? So there might be enough time to get all these things done. Is there enough energy to get all these things done? So how are you going to recharge? What is going to be effective for you? And that could be anything from going to the gym, getting out in nature. I'll tell you, my man, I think Troy mentioned it earlier that he does his 10,000 steps. We used to, this is back in the day, I don't know if you remember, we used to be in a little step competition or whatever and check each other on the Apple Watch, man. Just making sure we held each other accountable for getting that time in. So it's important, right, to make the time. It's important not just to do that, but also to make sure you have enough energy to do it as well.
Well, Corlan, I love that, man. And first, easy. I'm going with you. Then right after that, Sharif. Okay.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I definitely had to learn about self-care from Black women. My daughters were in middle school. My eldest daughter is graduating she just graduated from college in May. My second daughter is going into her junior year. My youngest is going into her sophomore year in high school. And my oldest two daughters were in middle school before I even could grasp the concept of self-care. And it took my lady that I was with when we got together. She was like, it was almost like she was appalled. She was like, "You don't, you know what? You know what I mean?" And so she kind of started to hold me accountable on that tip. So I think it's also important that we have women in our lives that care about our well-being. I would say my daughter's mother were more concerned with what I could do and less about what Corlan was talking about, my capacity. You know what I'm saying? And so to meet somebody who is, always on top of me about my capacity, you look burnt out, you look tired. You know what I'm saying? Like, because we'll go. If you know what I mean, if we have to, we will do it. We will do what we need to do. That's just in our DNA to go as far as we can until, you know what I mean? So I think it's important. And I think, if I'm able, inshallah, blessed to, talk to my nephews when they're coming of age, it's like, look, man, make sure that the people around you are just as concerned with your well-being as they are with what you provide. My eldest daughter is always checking in with me on that type of stuff too. Not that I don't, not that I'm not doing it myself, but it feels good to have, you know, people on that team, your lady that is like, hey, you ain't been to the gym. What's going on with you? You know what I mean? Oh, well, you know what? I like going getting pedicures with my lady. You know what I'm saying? We do that together, but it's also for me. So I just wanted to add that piece in there that, you know, we have to also recognize like the people around us. Are they only pulling from us or are they also adding to us, you know what I mean, as well?
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Sharif, drop it down on us, man. You on mute. You on your mute, brother.
I'm sorry. All right. I was fortunate to have like a mom and a step pop, and I had an opportunity to explore a lot of things. So to this day, like I probably fish 5 days out the week. It might be a 20-minute fishing trip. You know what I mean? But I fish almost every day. I ride my motorcycle. I box. I do a lot of art. Um, yeah, I learned very early like that you need things to to decompress. So
And listen,
oh,
listen,
and I see a therapist, bro. I'm sorry. I see a therapist. I'm a therapist that got a therapist. So yeah.
you gotta have somebody to talk to, right?
Uh-huh.
That's non-judgmental. That's not gonna bring it
Hmm.
back later on in the argument.
Right.
Brother Nance, let me hear from you, brother.
Yeah, one of my major self care is doing nothing. You know what I'm saying? Just doing nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like no phones, no nothing. I no responsibilities, no. I don't have to answer to nobody. I don't even have to answer to my damn self. You know what I'm saying? Like doing nothing. You know what I mean? Like, but I do like to go to the barber shop, even though I'm the head club for men now. You know what I mean? I still like to go to the barber shop and get hit up. You know what I mean? I like to play golf. I've been playing golf since I was 10. So I like to play golf. I like to create. I like to do art. But the number one thing I like to do is doing nothing. Like that's my number one self care technique is to do nothing. You know what I mean? And be okay with that because before I thought doing nothing was being sad and all that. That's not being sad. It's okay to do nothing. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't mean you're depressed. It doesn't mean you're sad and you don't have no. And you know what I mean? Sometimes you need to just rest. You know what I mean? Your mind, body, and your spirit, so you can rejuvenate. So doing nothing. That's my number one thing to be able to manage life, fatherhood, and everything that I do as a human being.
No, listen, I gotta tell you, because growing up in my household, if my father saw me just sitting down doing nothing, he found something for me to do. So
Yep.
he inadvertently trained me to make sure every time he came around, I was doing something or he was going to find something for me to do. It was a true self-aware moment for me where I sat down, was like, I don't have nothing to do and not feel bad about it. It's funny how you get trained on certain things that become just part of your routine. Was like, man, it's okay for me to actually do nothing. That's good. And I look, brother Sharif, I want to actually pick on you for a little minute because you sitting in your car, man, and I want to make sure I saw. I don't know if you guys saw that video where this brother was just sitting in the car before he went inside, and his lady, I don't know if his lady, his wife, was harassing him about the fact he
Hmm.
did not want to come. He just needed a few moments after work, driving through traffic to decompress before he came into
Hmm.
the house. And she gave him the put this
Yeah.
brother on blast.
Uh-huh. So I forgot to mention my other main stress reliever is long drives. So my fraternity's conclave was this weekend in Cincinnati. I was supposed to be home by now. I was supposed to be home 5 hours ago. You know what I mean? But this is how it go. So but I decided to drive up. I love long drives and like countrysides and things like that. The time, like by myself. So now I'm just on my way home from Cincinnati, back to
Take
Delaware.
your time. Take your
Yeah.
time, brother. Take your time. Brother Corlan, I see you got your hand up, man.
Man, so the video you talk about was crazy. I definitely peeped that, and it reminds me of like one of my favorite rock hymns. So two things I'm big on is jam and music. I'm like a lyrical library, but reminds me of this rock hymn lyric where he said he was scheming like a demon on the couch with his feet up, and then and then the girl tried to, glaze him, said he was lazy or whatever. I mean, that happens, right? So that the story you told definitely resonates about, oh well, if you ain't doing that, let me find you something to do. Um,
Something to do.
so I say all that just to say whatever your self care is, and if it's just chilling, decompressing, not doing nothing, protect that space. Don't let it be interrupted. Make sure you protect it. You need to sit on the couch and you're gonna get interrupted. Make sure you go find another couch to sit on where you go, where you're gonna have that peace.
Love that, man. Thank you very much, man. Thank you very much. Listen, I feel like I'm missing some stuff. I saw something on here, and let me go ahead and mention this. Brandon said self-care also means finding your joy. I think many got the Bible wrong. It says, when I was a child and acted as one, but when I became a man, I hold on, listen, put away childish things. I don't think it means putting away your joy. Men still need to hold on to their joy. That is profound because someone else mentioned their fathers too, where like I didn't see my father happy all the time. I saw that dude working two jobs. I saw him when he left, heard him when he left in the morning. I was a latchkey kid. I saw him when he got home. I saw him working on the car because that needed to be fixed. And I saw him taking a nap right before dinner. I don't remember a lot of joy. He did, he did bowl. He did bowl. That was his outlet. But I don't remember a lot of joy. You know what I mean? Just so I love that. Brother Nance, I see you. Go ahead, man.
I just wanted to veggie back off of that joy piece because a lot of times we'll be faking happiness, and really finding that true joy. You can't fake the feeling of joy. You know what I mean? And luckily, I've have experienced joy throughout my life. You know what I mean? Throughout the difficult times, but I did a lot of fake happiness too. You know what I'm saying? People, places, and things, and that fake happy wears off. But that joy, when you find that joy, you just can't fake joy. So I just wanted to uplift that piece, when the brother said that.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And listen, Brandon, I love the fact that you're willing to share. See, as you said, I am a burnout survivor because I put everything and everyone in front of me. That is what we're taught. Unfortunately, we're taught, hey man, I don't care how you feel. Get up and make it happen. You're a man. Go make it happen. And I also know the jokers that drop dead from heart attacks, and at the age of 35, 40, early. It's a thankless job. We've a couple of folks have said that already. Whereas it's funny because somebody was making a joke on I can't remember which comedian it was. I think it was that dude Ali. I don't know. That dude came out of nowhere. It's so funny. But that whole Father's Day versus Mother's Day is a completely different animal. It's just a completely different animal where mothers are like it's truly a joy and kids are all about it. We're taking out folks out to dinner, whereas fathers is like, oh yeah, we're supposed to go somewhere for Father's Day. Are we supposed to go eat or something? Or we're supposed to do something, and it's just not the same. So, brothers, we gotta take care of ourselves because we only get one life.
Yeah.
We only get one chance to do this. One chance to do this and to do this right. And before we close it out, I do want to come back to a topic that came up: manage your energy versus time. Brother Corlan, you brought that in, and I want you to speak on that. And then we're going to get into that a little bit. Manage your energy versus your time.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a concept that I kind of found when I was in grad school and was trying to manage fatherhood and grad school and a full-time job. And one of the things that my leadership professor had mentioned was, you gotta manage your energy, man. You gotta do that. The concept there is really, making sure that you can honor your schedule by having enough energy in it, but it really takes into consideration the limitations we have as humans, right? Like we can only make so many decisions in a day, right? And there's been studies that kind of prove that out, which is why a lot of leaders like the president of the like Barack Obama used to wear like one or two suits and that was it, right? That's why Steve Jobs only wore that one outfit. That's why Mark Zuckerberg wears the same thing over and over again. Yeah, it's part of the brand, but it's really so they don't have to decide what to wear. They just and they don't have to waste energy on those decisions. And then there's a certain amount of recharge that you'll need, after, sitting for, a certain amount of time, 55 minutes or whatever. You should get up and walk around or whatever. But it takes into consideration all of those elements plus mindfulness, and, the things that you would need to do in order to recharge so you can come back to a task and give it, the energy that's required for it. And so it's it's an important concept for that reason. For me, speaking from my own experience, what kept me energized and kept me going throughout grad school was I got up at 4 in the morning and I went to the gym every day, right? And by 6, I'd done more than most people had done, right, in half a day, right? But um, going to the gym and pushing myself, and getting my heart rate up is what actually gave me more energy, right, to have those longer days, right? So by the time it's 4 or 5 o'clock, I don't have a crash. I'm not dragging or anything. I still have energy to go another couple of hours, right? Then throughout the day, as I'm working my stuff and I got like 10 minutes between, this one meeting that ended early and the next one, and I get up and take a quick walk, right? I can probably make it like 3 houses down and and back. I could probably make it to the good brother Jason's house and back before I before my next meeting starts. So, and then but that time out in nature does something to your brain that kind of helps to reset and refocus your energy. And then there are a bunch of other things that you could do to do the same thing, making sure you're eating the right things that kind of contribute to you being fully so that your nutrition facilitates the amount of energy you need in order to kind of get things done. So it's really the nexus of being mindful about your energy, journaling, doing the things that will help you produce more energy, eating the right things that help you stay energized, so that then you can handle, right, the heavy stress, or you can handle that 500-pound back squat, or you can handle a 12 or a 14-hour day and not be dragging and still perform like you need to.
Love that, man. Love that. Brother Nance, I saw you pointing your finger, man. Like what, like go ahead, brother. Jump in there, man.
I just feel the brother so much on that, like energy. Like anybody that know me know, like I protect that energy with everything that I have. You know what I mean? I protect what I give out, what I receive in. I try to find balance, the whole food piece, everything that the brother's saying. Like we're electric beings, so I just make sure I try to keep electric food in me. You know what I mean? I try to just it's not even try. I do. You know what I mean? I make sure that I do those things just to balance the weight of the world and the energy. You know what I mean? So everything he was saying, I can totally relate to. Like even when I was consistently working out that 4 in the morning, at 5 in the morning, waking up early, like when I didn't have enough time in my day, I woke up early and created more time in my day and start creating, what I would put my energy into and doing and making sure I wasn't doing activities that was draining my energy as well. You know what I mean? A lot of things that we do sometimes drain our energy. So I can relate to that, brother, on so many different aspects, because that energy balance, what we give out, what we put our energy into, even down to raising our children. You know what I mean? Like how much energy we give in their mothers, and how we kind of sometimes allow that to impact, how we engage with our children. You know what I'm saying? You know, when we protect our energy, even sometimes we deal with irrational people, but if you are coming with one way, they can only treat you so fucked up for so long if you come in the same way consistently. You did what I'm saying? Like, luckily, I got a great relationship with my son, mother. You know what I mean? Even though we wasn't together the whole time, but that's because I made sure that. You know what I mean? Like I said, once we had kids, we was related. You know what I mean? You're not going to like a person every goddamn day, but as long as you love them and respect them, that's cool. You know what I mean?
Goes a long way.
Yeah.
Troy, I want to reach out to you, brother, because I see you over there on your head. And then Desmond, I don't want you to think I forgot about you. So I want to come back to you after we hear from Troy about this energy, because again, different perspective, brother. You got us by a few of us by a few years, and you're seeing things differently. So talk to us about managing your energy versus your time.
Well, we talking about time and energy, man. When them kids actually get off your payroll and you reach that level to where they don't need you for anything, that's an adjustment, because you've been this guy, this solutionaire for the last 20 years, 30 years, however long it is. So that's when you really have to, own your energy, figure out who you are. Because, we've been spending all this time being who everybody else needed us to be. That was the brother who made a comment. He was burnt out. And so the energy piece is important. There's two things that I want to say, and I'm gonna get out of here. One is I agree with Corlan. Is going to the gym to give you more energy. Then also, I think the other brother said being outside, getting outside. I recently, my Apple Watch tells me how much time I spend in the sun, and I'm ashamed to say it's less than 30 minutes a day. I work indoors, and but the number one thing I think to protect my energy has been sleep. I get 7 hours of sleep a day, naps or straight up sleep. And I'll sleep when I'm dead. You're gonna die if you don't sleep. So we got to get our rest. And I don't go to the gym to look good naked. I go to the gym I'm at the point now where we're almost going into, our kids are emergency contact, and we're going into like, they're going to have to be caring for us. And I'm looking at my 80-year-old parents and how we've had to change diapers and take care of them. My plan or my goal is to not be a burden to my children as long as I can. And I'm glad I never told them I wasn't a little friend, because they're going to be changing my diapers one day, hopefully. My best
I don't
friend.
know, man. I'm using that now. I ain't one of your little friends out here, all right?
Okay.
But you,
They're gonna put
but
you in
take
that.
care of your daddy.
They're gonna say,
Take
okay,
care of your daddy when you get older.
change your own diaper, sir.
Desmond, let me hear from you, brother.
What's the question, brother?
The energy versus the time, and you made a comment about earlier about the yourself, your time, your self care. To me, it's not forgetting that I matter. I am a person, and I love me first. So yeah, break that down for us, man.
So the first thing I told my wife when we got together is that I ain't gonna love her more than I love myself, right? I think oftentimes as men, and based on when we listen to society, though we look like humans, we aren't really considered human, right? Just always supposed to do, and always be able to provide, right? And then when we don't have the social skills or the coping skills, it's like, well, why don't you have that either, right? So for me, I just make sure I take time to tell myself that I matter and make time for myself before I do anything else. That can look different for all of us. For me, it can look like meditation or running, or as Baba Elegbe say, just doing nothing, right? I just make sure that I spend some time with myself, because for a long time I didn't like myself, So once I learned I didn't like myself because I didn't really spend no time with myself, and once I started spending time with myself, I realized that I didn't want anybody to take that time, regardless of what that looked like, right? I didn't even want to take that time for myself. So my self-care is just putting myself first and telling myself I matter. Doesn't mean so I'm selfish. I'm selfish. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm selfless to be selfish. So what's that mean is I'm gonna do the world for you, because when I got my time, leave me alone. That's just how I feel about it.
Mm, I love that. Thank you, man. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. Be divine. Where you at, man? I know you had something you wanted to say. I want to let you know I didn't forget about you. I don't know, because I know you were working too. So I appreciate the time that you was giving us.
Hold on, give me a moment, gentlemen. I'm dropping them off right now, and then I will give my response. I just circle back to me.
Okay, no problem. No problem. I got you. So again, I love this, and I'm looking at my questions because there are certain things in certain places. Sometimes you don't necessarily want to go, but I'm feeling safe. I feel like this is a safe space, and the burden is the word I want to use. The burden that we feel sometimes of making sure we take care of. And it sounds like there's been a lot of growth just in this community here. And I'm speaking to the brothers that have not learned how to handle that burden. Um, I'm speaking to the cats that are still just grinding it out, and they don't know which way is up. They're going through the motions every day. They have a routine. They get up to go to work, they come home, they get up to go to homework, and then they self-medicate to because their day or their life is not where it needs to be. So that self-medication becomes a hindrance to them, where they're stuck in this purgatory of this continuous loop of not quite living, but just going through the routine of living. And what I want to know from you, brothers, is how do you help the brothers like that? How do you help the cats that cannot break that purgatory? What do you say to them that allows them to break through? And I know it's a lot. Be divine, I see you back, man. But I asked this heavy question, so I want to make sure I get this from the council because this is what we will use, and this is being recorded. But this is something that I know that can be used in therapy, can be used in conversations. The things you say to the cats that have not broken through, have not found their self awareness, uplift themselves. What do we and how do we start that conversation with them?
So a lot of times when I see fathers that they struggling, I ask them, like, I tell them a story. I get them to thinking about something other than their self. And then when I tell a story, and then once they get I'm sorry, I don't tell them a story. I get them to tell a story about maybe even behavior they have or something they can't see, right? And I get them to not pay attention to their own life. And when I find what I want to say within the story, I just point it out to them. And after I point it out to them, they cannot see it. If that makes sense. It's called invoking. So let's just say, for instance, it's something, let's say bad attitude, right? And the guy likes football. So you make an analogy like, what if you was coaching a bad quarterback? What if you was coaching a good quarterback, but he had a bad attitude? How would you deal with it, right? And because a lot of times people love sports, right? They're in it and they're going to tell you all of these suggestions. And then you find a thing that you want to say to them and you're like, well, why are you not doing it? Right there, they can't unhear you. They don't like you at first because you didn't touch their emotions, but they can't unhear it because now it's emotional. It's not just words. And then they do something different or they don't talk to you. So a risk you run. They either talk to you or they either don't talk to you or they love you and they won't stop talking to you. But I'm saying that to say I get them to see themselves a lot of times. Either get to see themselves or don't want to see themselves. But one way or another, the emotion is going to come out. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect. I love, especially with the analogy, because a lot of cats into the ball and
Right,
basketball, football, and they know every
right,
analogy, they know every
right,
person, all their
right,
stats, and now you're
right,
gonna tell me
right,
what I can do to make them
right,
better.
right. So you use all of that, right? And then you find a thing that they may be struggling with within that, right? And then you ask them. And a lot of times they don't have no answer. A lot of times it's anger when they flash back at you because you didn't touch something that they love. You done related something they didn't want to hear about to something they love, and now they can't unhear it. I do it all the time. I do it all the time. Needless to say, I don't always have a lot of friends, but I do it all the time. I do it all the time. I do it all the time.
Hey, some of the best circles are the small circles, man. That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say. OG Troy, come on, man. I saw that face, man. Let me hear from you.
Which
I know you
one?
got some wisdom.
No, give me the question again.
How do you speak to the brothers that have not broken through or are still in that rut and still just in that purgatory, I like to call it, just not doing, just doing just enough to say, hey, I'm working, I'm here.
Yeah, just be available. That's it. That's
Mm-hmm.
it. And like my man just said, they're going to tell you what the problem is. And all you got to do is feed it back to them. Ask them, okay, well, where do you go from here? So it's just availability.
I
And I
love that.
also learned, Baba, you just gotta listen. Because if you don't say nothing, they're gonna hear that self. They're gonna hear that self. All you gotta do is not say nothing. You just have to be as a man sometimes, and I know a lot of times a lot of us are in fixer mode, and I've been there a lot of times. You just got out of fixer mode. If you just sit there and listen, they're gonna tell you what the problem is. And you didn't even say nothing. All you did was listen. So I'm saying that, Baba, OG, just to piggyback off what you said, I agree with you. I had to learn the importance. One of the most important skill a man can have is to be able to actively listen and not say anything, not give an opinion.
Right.
It took me a long time to learn that.
Yeah, there's a a coaching style that I use. Kind of when I'm talking to folks that might be going through it or whatever. But I also use it when I'm just mentoring mentees professionally. And the deal there is I just ask them a series of questions that lead them to make to the conclusion themselves. and that way I don't really have to be the one to say what's going on, and it seems like I'm just listening. But the questions I'm asking, really drive them to be like, oh man, all right, so these are the next steps I got to take. And then after that, you just kind of you're there, you encourage, you follow up. Hey man, did you take step one yet? Okay, all right. So when do you plan on doing that? What's stopping you, right? Follow up again. Hey man, are you at step two? Like what's going on? I'm just checking in on your progress, man. You good, right? And then that kind of triggers them to move a little bit and to move at their own pace. But they've already figured out their own solution, and you've led them, to the water, so to speak.
And if I may, just to piggyback what you said, a lot of times when men are talking, or just people in general, they're not really listening to themselves. So a lot of times, if you create a space just to listen, and they talk a few times, they hear what they say, they're correct what they're saying, because they're not really listening to themselves when they talk. Sometimes they're just regurgitating things that they may have learned or sounds good that they didn't really think about, right? But if you sit there and you listen enough, and like Baba said, you ask some questions, they hear themselves. And a lot of times people don't like when they really hear themselves.
All right, so okay, I gotta interject here because now there's a flip side to that. Social media has changed the way we view ourselves and the world. And now I'm finding you can always find somebody that sounds just like you or thinks like you. And we may hear it and say, man, that's some bullshit. But they hear it and it's validation for how they feel. And I see some heads nodding there because you know who I'm talking about, where you've seen it. Like, you say, whoa, that don't make no sense. But these folks have found a sounding board that sounds just like them. Troy, I see you jumped in there, man. You off mute. You.
Oh no. I'm agreeing
Oh,
with you.
okay. Okay. So how do we combat that scenario where yes, that confirmation bias. Thank you for giving me that technical term, Corlan. Appreciate you, bro. It's so, and then even Brandon, thank you for chiming in. Challenge them to think and reflect on the reasons why they are doing things. I love that, by the way. Finding these communities that are, okay, I'm gonna say it for me, it's wrong. That's the wrong way you should be thinking about things. And maybe I'm being a little bit more too prejudgmental, but that's not how I think. It's not the most healthiest way to think. And
Look at them.
they start following
Take it down.
that confirmation bias and they find a community, so to speak. So I know for me, that's frustrating when I see that. What do you say again? Then back to what Desmond was saying, it's like, all right, yeah, you're asking the questions, but in their head, they believe what they're saying and hear it.
So the question is how you get them to see. I feel like I hear you saying, how do you get them to see themselves?
That and when they so the way you said it, when they actually realized, okay, that doesn't make no sense. They're finding folks out there that confirm the way they feel. They're saying the same things. And you and I are listening like, well, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, I think it's yeah, it is. It's a Bible proverb that said you can't tell a fool and a smart man if they argue when you look at them from a distance if they argue it, right? So you know a fool when you listen to one, right?
Me? Absolutely.
So if I know so I say this to people often too, right? Would you get mad at a rock for being a rock? A lot of people say no. I said, why did I say? Because it's a rock. And then I just look at them. You're not going to reach everybody, unfortunately, as much as we would like to. Everybody is not going to see the word you, or even if they see it, everybody may not be ready and willing to accept what they see, right? Because life is very, very just life. It's just life, right? And it's just how you
Might be
make it,
life
right?
it.
It's
Might
just
be
life.
life
You
it.
can't really say it being right or wrong or hard is based on our perception of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think all of us as men have gotten to this level at different times in life, or as Baba Elegbe said, still evolving, right? So if I had like if I didn't talk to you maybe like 3 or 4 minutes, and I think I've asked you 3 open-ended questions, and you seem like you always kind of like I'm not gonna keep having a conversation with you about, or even if I have a conversation about it, I'm not looking to improve your mindset because you already let me know you always playing a 50. You got to be committed to something sometimes.
I can see that. Thank you, that man. I appreciate that. Brother Corlan, you first, and then right after that, Brother Nance.
Yeah, so I think it's important for all of us to understand, though, that we can't save everybody, right? And with the confirmation bias, there are some people that are just going to be stuck in their echo chamber, and they're not going to listen to nothing, that challenges, their belief system in any way, right? And there are certain mindsets that are out there when it comes to interpersonal relationships that are just going to be really hard to change because they're personality driven, and that stuff isn't going to change too heavy. But for the folks that you care about, right? You present them a different set of facts, present them with a different reality, and be like, hey man, what do you think about that, right? And to some degree, you got to understand that some of this stuff, is going to be incredibly difficult to understand for people who are going through it for the first time or had never, experienced anything different before. So a little bit of understanding there, a little bit of presenting them with a different set of facts, a different a little bit of a different reality, and then understanding that you just can't save everyone, right? These echo chambers are strong. They're there for for a reason, and people choose them and get caught in them for a reason. So there's that.
Well said, brother. Well said. I appreciate it. Brother Nance.
Well, the brother just kind of took everything I was kind of going to say a little bit, but I was just going to say, you know, when I have challenges like that with individuals that I work with, you know, it's about them being honest with themselves. Like, you know what I mean? Like sometimes people don't be honest where they at, you know, the old saying of having champagne taste with bad money, you know what I mean? And so, you know, just having the honest conversation with people, and sometimes listening not to respond, you know what I mean? So yeah, just to veggie back off what the brother said, some people are going to be stuck in their ways until they be honest with themselves. And when you're honest with yourself, then because can't nobody tell me nothing about myself that I don't already know about myself. Period. You know what I mean? At this stage in the game, even when I was younger, you know what I mean? So I just think that when I encounter brothers that way, I try to steer them towards living out of the fantasy world and coming back into reality. You know what I'm saying? Like, and even with younger cats that I work with, I just be like, bro, does that sound realistic, bro? That's like fantasy world, bro. Like living reality. You know what I mean? Like pick your head up. Your phone ain't everything. It's things you gotta read that's in these books that ain't gonna be on the internet. You know what I mean? So just being honest with yourself. You know what I mean? I think that's how I approach individuals that looking to. But the first part is they gotta want the help. You know what I mean? Like if they don't want the help, it's nothing that I can do. I can give them $1 million and they going to flush it down the toilet if I don't give them a system and the right thing to do with it. You know what I mean? If they don't want the help, they're not willing to receive what I'm giving. You know what I mean?
Appreciate you, man. Brother Dante, you had just something you wanted to speak on.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I deal with a lot of younger men, mainly the 18 to 30s. It was 18 to 25, and now I'm working with 18 to 30s. And on this side of things, all my kids are grown and gone. I just got the grandkids now. Um, what I've learned is that a lot of times, like Einstein said, this frame of thinking has got me to a place that this thinking can't get me out of. A lot of times they have to see for themselves that this is going to bring about an undesired outcome. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what's going to convict them. And then a lot of times they come back and say, "Hey D, you know what I'm saying? You was right about this." And they hate to admit it, but you know, it's like this, like because that's where I was hard headed. So at the end of the day, like I had to see that this was not going to produce the desired outcome. I was going to have to change my mindset, but I had to see it. I come from a great family, but I still had to see for myself. I still had to keep bumping my head. So that's the same for a lot of people that we deal with on that level.
Oh man, thank you so much for that. That is so truth. And the thing I'm hearing the most, and I love having these conversations because sometimes you just need to hear. You can't help everybody, but then at the same time, they got to want the help. They got to be open to it. You like you talking. Sometimes you're talking to a brick wall, and you got to. And I'm gonna go back to something we talked about earlier. I'm really good about protecting my energy, and I do not waste my time. I'm of the age now. I recognize when I'm wasting my time. Come holler at me when you're ready. I'm not going anywhere. Brother Dante, I see you.
Well, yeah, to your point, like that's what you have to like, because you got to understand, like to your point, you can't save everybody, and people like that will drain you. In my experience, like I've had people like they drain me. Like I'm literally like I don't have to be like some people mentally will drain you to the point where it's like it's almost like 3 hours in the gym dealing with this person, and all I did was have a 30-minute conversation. So you have to one thing you have to do, you got to protect that space and that energy. Even there's a wise proverb that says, "Don't cast your pearls before swine." Basically, don't be giving your energy and these pearls of wisdom to a group of people or any person that doesn't value it. If you don't value your
It's not
time,
worth it.
then they don't either.
Appreciate that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, gentlemen, thank you. Thank you all. This has been an amazing experience. This has been one of those things that I'm gonna cherish because I love speaking to brothers like this because I take something away every single. This was not a waste of my time. So thank you very much. I learned some things. Hopefully, you learned some things, and I want to give our panelists a little bit of time just to say if they have a closing thought or a closing comment. That can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir.
If I want to give my esteemed panel some time to have. Oh, my bad. Before I go any further, brother Matt, who actually put this together, he raised his hand. Go ahead, brother. Talk to us.
All right. Um, so having health issues, that's why I ain't been talking, but I'd be remiss not to jump on here. Hopefully everybody can hear me, but just having some issues. And I'm not really supposed to be talking, but I'm just I'm full of so much gratitude that I couldn't not say something. Um, but the idea for Fatherhood State of Mind came to me a couple of years ago when I first learned, really learned about and started actualizing self love and doing for myself and becoming Matt Perez and not just Kelly's husband, not just Bryce Breon, Layla, and Braylon's father, but really becoming me as an individual and learning to put myself up there and take care of myself along with them. And it wasn't until recently, and just full transparency, my third wife and I separated, and on the verge of the divorce when one of us is able to pay for it, and that is when I really started to live and actually love myself and love life and everything in it, and to really understand. I had wrote a book called Butterfly Messages, and this was a couple of years ago, and listening to it over the past few months, I realized that when I wrote it, I wasn't living with what I actually wrote. I was really like prophesizing or whatever, you know what I'm saying, or just putting it into the universe. But now I'm truly living those words, and that is why this is happening right now, because I stopped abandoning myself. I stopped giving up on myself, and I started to put things in motion that I had dreamt of years ago. And to see this see this come to life and to have brothers volunteer their time. I ain't got a dime to give nobody. Everybody volunteered their time. Barry, you are my man, 100 grand until to the end of time. But I can't thank you all enough. The panelists, hosts, guests who pretty much became panelists, and I love it. Everybody got an opportunity to speak. It wasn't just sit around and listen and let us tell you what we do. You know what I'm saying? I wanted participation from any and everybody, you know. So I'm just thrilled. And y'all can see, yes, I'm crying. I don't give a fuck what nobody thinks about it. I promise. I'm sorry for the language. I'm recording this and I'm gonna share it with people, but I just gotta be honest. I don't give a fuck. Cause this is magic right here. And everything I've ever done for and with fathers, I know I'm gonna toot my own goddamn horn. I have changed lives. And I have changed the face of fatherhood, especially Black fatherhood. And this is a continuation of those efforts. And I know that this is going to change lives as well, because we absolutely, as fathers, owe it to ourselves to put ourselves, to love ourselves as much as we love anybody else in this world, and to stop putting ourselves on the back burner, you know? So again, I want to thank everybody, and I just want to remind anybody listening, you know, who doesn't do it, like, you owe it to yourself. Learn how to actually love yourself. It's cool to say the words, I love myself, but what are the actions that you're taking to show that you do? The things that you do for your lady, the things that you do for your kids, the things you do for anybody else you say you love, do for yourself. And that's how you show that you are actually living in self-love and not saying those words. And with that, I say peace. I thank you all again. I love you all, brothers. This is recorded again, and I'm going to find out how I'm sharing this out, but I want any and everybody who wants to see this and to glean from it. I give thanks.
Thank you, brother. We appreciate you, man. Thank you for putting this together. And before we close out, I do want to give all our panelists a chance to say something if they have any closing remarks. Brother Nance, I saw you just come off and mute, so I'm going to go ahead and start with you first, brother.
Oh, all right, peace. I appreciate the opportunity. So if you brothers want to keep the conversation going, me and brother Desmond, we have something called the Peace and Power Hour that we meet with brothers virtually online. I'll send it to Matt. You can get it to you guys. We meet the fourth Monday of every month or something like that. And then we do it in person if you're in Baltimore, the fourth Sunday of the month. So just something to keep the conversation going. Again, like I explained to my brother, I'm not trying to make money off of having brave spaces for brothers to build. You know what I mean? I just want to provide a space for brothers to build, exchange energy, and create an ecosystem. So I just appreciate the opportunity. And, I just want to say that, my motto at Temple Work Ministry and coaching is we don't have good days, we create them so we can spread our love and our light to the world. And that we ought to find our peace and our power all from within ourselves. So I look forward to continue the conversation and building with you, brothers. And brother Sharif, you my frat brother, so out.
Brother Desmond.
Well, I want to just piggyback off what brother said. We have a Peace and Power Hour that happens twice a month on the fourth Saturday and I think the fourth Sunday. Also, if you brothers are interested, I am a co-author of a book called Dear Black Men. It's a book about creating safe space for Black men and Black women to be. Dear Black Men and Dear Black Women. It's a book about creating safe spaces for Black men to be heard and understood without judgment. Affirmations, questions, and apologies. You don't read through it, you work through it. So if you're interested in that, you can find that on dearblackmenbook.com.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Barry, just real quick, I want to say to brother Nance and Desmond, put the links in the chat for me, please, because I think the transcript, I believe, will share like with the video, if I'm not mistaken. So people will be able to see that like when they see the video.
Yeah, I'll just send it to you. What I need to send you, I can't put in the chat.
Oh, all right. You love making work for me, huh? Appreciate it.
I'm gonna make it painless for you, brother. I'm gonna send it to you in a nice, pretty package, wrapped up, ready for you to send out. You ain't gotta do nothing but hit forward, my brother.
All right.
Peace to the
Sharif,
room.
brother Sharif, let's hear from you, brother. Close out.
Yeah, I like to thanks brothers for this, man. I'm always grateful to be a part of conversations like this. My thing is, your title as a father, your title as a husband can be changed just like that. So make sure you take care of yourself because you'll always have that until you don't. But like those titles can change fast and sudden. So you don't want to lose those things and forget who you are.
Well said. Well said. Brother Corlan.
I appreciate being part of this discussion. I've had several interactions with just about everybody on here. And I've always enjoyed interacting with you brothers, and it was a great conversation. Happy to be a part of it. The ways you can kind of connect with me, Conscious Calisthenics on Instagram, and I talk about managing your energy over your time there. I show all the different types of ways I do self care, whether it's sauna, contrast therapy, or whether it's working out. You can watch me self care all day on on that Instagram channel. So, but I appreciate being with you brothers, and I want to thank all the brothers in this chat that have been a support to me. Matt for bringing me into the Black Fathers community. Troy for showing me just being there and being a resource, exactly like he said, being available to me when I needed it the most. I want to thank the good brother Dante who joined, who's been my guy since seventh grade as well. So, we went through the fatherhood journey together as well. So, appreciate you guys, and I'm happy to be here. Looking forward to the next one.
Thank you, brother Corlan. OG, close this out, brother.
I don't know why you made me last, but because I don't have nothing to add. I just appreciate Matt. Thank you for inviting me. And my motto is I don't really talk to people anymore unless they got their hand raised. So I put where you can reach me in the chat, and we'll go from there. But I appreciate you guys, and I'm looking forward to connecting with several of you.
Before we leave out, looks like B Divine. Like, what you got, brother? You got something? You got somebody? Or you free? Oh no, you got somebody in the ride. Can you talk?
No, I want to. I know we're closing the session now. I want to say first and foremost, thank you all for not only sending the invite out, but having the space for fathers to be able to converse like we are and build and continue to grow. If there's a way that maybe Nance, brother, you could connect me with everybody here, because I would love to follow up with you, especially if you're in the Atlanta area, however we could build, especially in regards to supporting Black men in this fatherhood journey. I definitely want to be hands on this. And then also our information on Driven, GEMSTORIPIN, Fatherhood on Instagram.
Brother Divine, you breaking up, man. So if you're not driving, pull over. Just put it in the comments so we all have access to it. Okay, man. We appreciate you. And I want to thank each and every one of you. I want to salute you. I want to say thank you. I want to say keep doing what you're doing. And whenever y'all get that golf thing going on, if you're at the DMV or the Baltimore area, just holler at me. I got my sticks, man. I throw them right in the trunk. I'm on the way.
Hey, let's go. Fly golf apparel, baby. Come get with us.
Okay. Now look, I'm following up. I'm following up. Everybody, thank you very much for being part of this discussion. We appreciate you. Have a wonderful evening. Take care.
Peace and power, my brothers.